Welcome back, everybody. All right, so let's go ahead and let's make another spaceship here. Now, one of the things that you need to get used to is in the last tutorial we made a mirror modifier, which was really good. So let's do that again. And it's one of those things that if you do it over and over again, you kind of get used to it. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to add a loop cut. I'm going to click on it, and if you just simply push right click, it makes sure it's in the center here. We can select these four vertices by pushing Shift, push X, and of course delete the vertices. Tab back into object mode for just a second here, and the reason is that generally modifiers, although they work in edit mode, in object mode is really what you're looking for anyway. Okay, so we need to add in that mirror modifier, and we're going to mirror this along the y-axis. You can of course mirror it along the x-axis or z-axis, but we want the y-axis. Tab back into edit mode, and here we go. Now, instead of making the exact same ship here, let's make this a little bit different here. Let's go ahead and let's move this out a bit here, and what I'll do is I will extrude this like this, and I'll extrude it. Actually, before we do that, let's hop into Edge Select, and we'll kind of move this down like this. Maybe that's a bit too much. Let's hop into Face Select mode, move it here. I think that looks pretty cool. Let's hop into Edge Select mode, and one of the coolest things you can do is just simply move this in. And there we go, and that's already starting to look cool. Alright, and we can actually even move this out a bit. And here we can kind of move this out something more like this. Let's hop into Face Select mode. We're going to push E to extrude, right click, scale that in quite heavily, and then we're actually going to push E to extrude, but we're going to lock this along the x-axis so it comes out straight. And there we go. We got these cool little blasters or something like that. And if you want to, you can kind of scale those in if you want. But I think that looks perfectly cool and perfectly acceptable. Okay, let's go and let's select these two here, and we'll move these back something like this here. Now I'm going for something a little bit different than before. Okay, so I'm going to move these two back like this here, and I'm going to move this one out like that. So here we got something really neat here, and let's go ahead and let's take this vertice and we'll kind of move it inwards and inwards like that. Maybe even down a bit. Yeah, so there we go. So we got this cool little thing happening here. If we really wanted to, we can move this out, but I actually kind of like this inward like that. Okay, and let's go and let's add in actually a loop cut. And we're going to add in a loop cut along the side here. Okay, and what we'll do is we'll make it something more like that. Okay. Now again, we're not adding too many vertices in here. Let's add in. Let's push E to extrude, and here you can see that this one looks pretty cool. Now, one of the things that what I recommend doing is looking to nature to look for inspiration. Pretty much every designer does this, but when it comes to ship design, there are two major groups of animals that work with this. So we got birds and insects. So if you want to make a mean looking kind of spaceship, try to make your wings more like a wasp versus a bee. And if you do that, you can see that wasps tend to have like a little bit more of this angle here, and this actually looks pretty cool. And so I'm just going to actually move this out just a bit more. Yeah, like that. So we got this cool little thing here. And what we'll do is we'll actually narrow that in just a bit. Push E to extrude. I'm going to scale that out again, and then just push E to extrude. E to extrude one more time, and then I'll scale that right in. So these looks like kind of a fuselage or something like that. And one of the things I like to do is simply extrude this here. But what I need to do is I need to extrude it and push X so that they come out straight, which I think looks cool. And it kind of gives it gives a little bit of an extra. Something a little bit extra, okay? So now that we have this here, we rarely look at the bottom here, and usually it's because we want things to be flat, but this actually looks pretty cool so far. Let's go ahead. Let's push E to extrude, right click, I'm going to scale that in, I'm going to give this some engines here, and I'm going to scale this, of course, along the x-axis. Push E to extrude, right click. I'm going to scale it out just a bit, and then I'm going to push E to extrude and X on the x-axis, and then I'm just going to push E to extrude again. So you kind of got this cool little thing here, and we can even kind of move these out just a bit. Okay, so if you push 7, that gives us a top view, 7 on the numpad, of course, and that actually looks cool. Now, one of the things about this particular model is that it actually it has more triangles and a lot more quote-unquote sharp edges to it. Okay, and that also gives its factor to the quote-unquote meatiness factor. Okay. What else can we do to make this look a little bit cooler? Well, let's go ahead, let's hop into vertices select mode, and then we can move this up and in like that. And that actually makes it look a little bit cooler. We can even actually bring that up just like that. And I think that actually is pretty much it. What else can we do? There's not, of course we can do all these cool kinds of things here, but I think that pretty much does it here. So we got this other cool little ship, and there we go. I'll see you guys in the next tutorial.